Hey everyone, welcome back to On the Fence Movie Reviews. I am Adrian, joined by my co-host Rob, and today we're going to be talking about Army of the Dead. So, Army of the Dead is directed by Zack Snyder, and he kind of returns to somewhat of his horror roots. I believe he directed the Evil, or not the Evil Dead. What was it? Rob, you remember what was the name of his horror film that he directed way back when? It was like one
Wasn't
of his
it?
first features.
Wasn't it
It was like,
Dawn of the
yes,
Dead?
Dawn of the Dead,
Dawn of the
Dawn of the
Dead.
Dead,
Yes, Dawn
yes,
of the Dead.
and
One of my favorite zombie movies, actually.
yeah. So he returns to the zombie roots with this film, Army of the Dead. And so in this film, what we got is a group of heroes. Vegas is overrun by zombies, and there's a group of heroes, as we see in the opening credit scene. Very much the way it plays out is like a montage of similar to what Snyder does with the Watchmen. You know, there's a song montage, and you see the heroes, and they're like kind of you see each character, and you're kind of introduced to each character individually that way. And so after they kind of quarantine Las Vegas and they box it all in, the zombies are locked in there, and so we have Dave Bautista, whose character is kind of just working at a burger joint until one day a gentleman with lots of money says, "Hey, there's money locked in the vault there. I need you to get in there and get out." You know, and alongside that, there's the government. They're planning on just dropping like a low level grade nuclear bomb on Las Vegas, so they have the time to deal with, along with zombies. And if they get out, they get, I believe the number was something like $50 million for their work. And the movie takes off from there. And so it is a zombie film. Now, Rob, I know you did not get a chance to watch this film. I
No,
did.
I did not. No, I did not.
So I will give my thoughts, and if you have any questions, we could talk about them.
All right.
So I just want to jump right into it right now. What I loved about this film was the zombies. Obviously, there's lots of good action in here. Zack Snyder is one of those directors that has a good eye for action, and as he shows here, a good eye for zombie kills, if you will, zombie like violence and horror. So if you're really into like that sort of type of gore and then that genre, he does an excellent job of that and delivers it in a very stylistic way that I think you might find very enjoyable. And along with that, I really like Dave Bautista as the lead. I thought he carried this film really well. You know, he brings that kind of that big broodiness, but he also has some emotional moments in this film, which we will discuss a little bit later. But he does a really solid job, and I think he's starting to prove himself a lot more as a more dramatic actor, and so it actually makes me more excited. I saw him in Blade Runner 2049. He did a really good job there. It was a small part, but he was really good in there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with Denis Villeneuve again in Dune, which comes out later this year. But along with all of that, I'm going to talk about some of the negatives. Those are my positives, but I got to talk about some of the negatives, Rob.
All right. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
And for me, the negatives of this film were one, and I think it's kind of the problem with a lot of Zack Snyder's films, is just way too long.
Okay.
It's something upwards of like 2.5 hours.
Wait. Let me ask you this: Was
Go
there
ahead.
any slow motion? Was there slow motion in here?
There is some, but
Okay.
not to the overkill which you're used to with with the Snyder
Okay.
films. He kind of pulls back a little bit, which I appreciate because sometimes he does his action and it's really cool, and then all of a sudden he just decides we're going to slow it down right here, and it's kind of takes you out of the moment a little bit.
Okay.
And that kind of brings me to my point. And what I mentioned before, there are some emotional moments. There's a part of the story here that they're trying to build where they're trying to bring some of that, I guess, bring that heart, if you will, to the story, which is Dave Bautista's character and his daughter Kate, and she's like a volunteer at this sort of concentration camp. All the people that were rescued from Las Vegas, they're kind of held in these concentration camps, and the government doesn't want to let them out because they don't know if they're infected or not. And so you have his daughter Kate, who is kind of helping these people, but so you see that they have somewhat of a fractured relationship. They don't talk. And so there's moments in the film where there's a lot of action, it's picking up, there's tension, and then it kind of breaks to kind of like, okay, let's have a conversation here between the two characters, and it kind of slows it down a little bit. And for me, if they kind of cut that whole part of the film out, you probably would have saved yourself about 15 to 30 minutes or so, and you would not have missed it. The film would not have missed not having those parts in the film. That's my opinion. And again, I know I'm probably in the minority here because last time I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, a lot of people really loved this film. It got something like between the mid 70s to 80s on the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Okay.
And then I think when I checked last night, the audience score was like at a 90. So a lot of people liked it. And so those, again, for me, I think Zack Snyder sort of struggles with his pacing because there's moments of tension. Like when they first go in there and they have to go indoors and it's like completely dark, but you see like there's zombies in that building and they kind of got to like almost like stealth their way through the building.
Okay.
And there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of like, oh my God, I hope like,
Okay, I like that. I like that.
And it's really good. I really like that scene. So it picks up and then it kind of comes to a halt slightly after that. And it's kind of like there's too much of that for me where it starts to feel like it drags a little bit. And I think for me, I really wish that they didn't have too much of that. But I think overall, and then also I want to mention there's a part in there when there's a character that is introduced. You kind of see what this character is all about. And it's kind of like they don't really do too much of like kind of keeping you guessing about who this character is or what he's about and what he's about to do. And it's just kind of like it's obvious.
Okay.
But yeah, Rob, I don't know if you have any other questions about the film, but
No,
yeah.
it's just more as far as and you kind of answered it. For me, okay, so now are these zombies closer to like the Dawn of the Dead zombies? Are these like Walking Dead zombies? What kind of zombies are these?
Okay. So this was the part that I really, really liked.
Okay.
And also the other part of my gripe is that they do cut to a couple of scenes where they cut to the zombies POV. So where we see and what there's the character, what's her name? They just call her the Coyote. I think her name was Lily, I think, but most of the time they refer to her as Coyote. She's the one who kind of like sneaks people in Las Vegas and sneaks them out because like people have been randomly going in there and stealing a couple wads of cash and then getting out to kind of like buy their way out of like the concentration camps and stuff like that. And the guards will kind of just let them slip out. But she kind of is basically like, yeah, I spent so much time here. I know how these zombies operate. There's like kind of like a sub level of zombies, like what you said, they're kind of like Walking Dead zombies.
Okay.
But then they refer to these other ones, like these main zombies that they call alphas. And they're like super strong, super fast. They're kind of like coordinated and they're kind of smart. Like they're like thinking zombies. And the problem I had was that they cut back too much to their POV. And kind of, it's weird because there's two characters that they're almost like, how would you say, almost like a love story between these two alpha zombies.
Okay.
And where they kind of show their sort of like connection. But again, to me, I feel like they put that in there to kind of show the viewer like, oh, these zombies are different. They think, and there's a little bit more to them. To me, I didn't really need that. I felt like that one scene of exposition from the Coyote character where when she tells us like, this is who they are, this is what they're about, this is how they operate. And, to me, that was enough because then I got it. And right away I knew, okay, these are the alphas. These are like just the regular kind of zombies that don't really think and they're slow moving. But and I like that about the way they did those zombies. But for me, again, it was a little bit like, okay, again, I didn't really need all that extra, you know?
Got it.
And that's the way I felt about it.
Yeah, I feel like with zombies, you keep it simple. I mean, they want to eat you. You got to run from them. So I feel like
and like I said, there's the way she explains it, and she's even talking about like how like those alpha zombies choose who becomes an alpha and who just becomes like a regular like just random zombie.
Okay.
And
Okay.
again, like so there's like this world building and setting up of rules of the way this world of zombies work
Okay.
that I really enjoyed and liked. And I thought that part was good, but again, I just didn't need too much of that cutting back and forth between these
I
other zombies.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of I don't know if I'm going to say an original take, but it's not a take that's done too often, and
No, and
it's interesting.
yeah, and I liked that about this film. I liked that they took a little bit of a different approach from
Yeah.
what you normally see from a zombie film, and also again as we're talking, I keep being reminded of the gripes that I have. What intrigued me when I saw the trailer was that it was a zombie film, but it was also a heist film.
Yeah.
Like these guys that have to go in there, and I was like, I've never seen that before. The guys have to go in there, break into this vault because it's like this super like high tech heavily guarded vault that is like they have this guy that they have to bring in who's like one of the, like the best like kind of vault like lock breakers or whatever you want to call them
Okay.
in there with them. And so for me I really wish I would have got a little bit more of the heist stuff because
Okay.
it was kind of like he has to come in and break that vault and then they kind of gloss over that and they don't show too much time about like the difficulty of him trying to break in and like kind of the struggles of breaking in. It's just kind of almost like they cut away from the heist stuff. And I felt
Okay.
like that would have made it a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more tense, but they don't focus too much on that.
Okay.
But again, that's just me. I don't know. You
All
might
right.
watch it and you might love it. I don't know. It's
Well, let me ask you this, Adrian. It's
go
pretty
ahead.
much my final question.
Yeah.
Because you've seen it in theater, and I know this comes out on Netflix.
Yeah.
We typically, on the fence, off the fence about it. I'm going to ask you: is this a movie that I should see in the theater, or am I fine just watching it at home on Netflix?
That's a tough one. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm going to just go ahead and give my review or
Okay.
my
Good.
overall verdict. I would say, for me personally, I'm going to say that I would probably stay on the fence
Okay.
and maybe it's a Netflix movie, so it's kind of like just stay home and watch it at home. Save
Okay.
yourself the $15 or whatever they charged you. I think I paid like something like 17 to go watch it. I watched it at the Cinemark in the XD, where it's like the largest screen that they have there with the
Nice.
best sound that they have there, and like I said, overall, I felt like there were some good moments in here, but as a cohesive film, it struggles to kind of decide on what it wants to be. It's like one
Okay.
part zombie film, one part heist film, one part like all this other stuff, and like father daughter relationship and all that stuff. That I think if it was done a little bit more tightly and a little bit more shortly, I think you would have had like a really phenomenal film, and I would have said, yeah, get off that fence and go watch it.
Okay.
But at the same time, on the flip side, there is some good action in here with some good sound and some good visuals that may serve a lot better on the big screen. So I
Okay.
think that's more of
It's like a preference.
your preference is and again, you and I know we both rather watch films
Right.
on the big screen, but again, most people might say, it wasn't worth spending that much money to go watch it. So I'm just going off of the film itself, not
Okay.
necessarily on the visuals or the sound or anything like that. I'm just going to say the film itself is decent, but I think there are some issues that I had with it. But like overall, there's some good moments, some good zombie. If you just care about you don't really care about the story, you don't care about how well it's told or anything like that, and you just want to see some people get their heads ripped off or eaten alive. Definitely go check it out. But for me personally, like overall, I feel like it's just struggles. So I'd just say maybe
Okay.
watch it on Netflix when it comes out next week, and that's my verdict.
All right.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for watching our review of Army of the Dead. Why don't you comment down below and let us know what you thought of it once you watch it. And let's see, do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? And I would love to hear you guys' opinions. Also, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. And follow us on Instagram at On the Fence Movie Reviews.
And remember, we will catch you on the fence.